This was an extremely boring episode. It was a very stupid episode. It was a very eye-rolling episode. It was a very watch it and forget it episode. If we are starting off I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be 8 episodes for this series. If the second episode is a filler episode, how boring is the rest? He then goes to the car to grab the tire iron out of the boot. Okay, great. That would work, right? On a metal detector, as it's metal. But he then takes that tire iron, goes to the front of the car, rips off the bonnet of the fiberglass body, or whatever the cars are made out of nowadays. I know it's not metal because it's not the 1940s. Cars aren't made out of sheet metal anymore. I think the writers believe that chrome coating is metal. It's not going to work, even if the metal detectors are on. It's not going to work, is it? Did no one read this, or did no one on set at this point just go, hang on, this don't seem right? Are we being stupid? Yes, you are. You're being really fucking stupid. What are we doing? So, Lanterns episode 2's come out. I may be a day behind here because I forgot this show exists. Says it already, doesn't it? Before I get into it, I just want to say one thing. And this goes to everyone across different social medias. You're allowed to judge something based on one episode. You're allowed to judge something based on a trailer. Because a trailer is something that's supposed to get your ass in the seat to watch something. It's marketing. The first episode is a premiere episode that's supposed to make you want to carry on watching it. So you're allowed to be judgmental about it. You're allowed to be critical about it. There are so many people, I say so many, there's that little group of people that want to defend things like this and defend certain trailers and certain products. And it's always the same thing. Oh, you can't judge it based on the trailer. Oh, you can't judge it based on the first episode. Yes, you can. Shut the fuck up. If you got something productive to say it. If that's your whole rebuttal, just sit down. Just no, just stop it. Anyway, I'm only going to say that once because it's funny just watching people think they have a point when they don't. But anyway, let's get into this episode. So, episode 2 of Lanterns. I'm pretty sure I called it Green Lanterns before. Just shows you the directors even hate the characters themselves. This episode was very interesting in the way of it shows that the writers are stupid in many ways. But we'll get into it. Let's have a little breakdown of this episode, shall we? So we left off on episode 1, where Hal has been shot in the head. And there's loads of speculations about that. It's based in the future. It's like 10 years based on like this. It seems like going into this episode, there's no time jumping. So it was maybe a 1 episode thing. We got some of the time jumping, which is a bit weird. But so we're starting off this episode where it's just after the bomb went off at the police station. Well, the person exploded at the police station. And we're starting off with Hal waking up John with a bucket of water to get him, and they go out into the parking lot, and he's going to teach him how to fly. Well, he gives him a ring and tells him to fly, and he doesn't, because he doesn't know how to. While doing this, John makes a construct of a bird, and even taking the ring off, it shows that he made the construct out of his self-conscious, which comes into some stupidity later. Obviously, he doesn't manage to fly. And it turns out the ring is out of charge as well. So they do a comic book accurate thing where if you flatten the ring, it gives you that little boost, and it gives, by the looks of how they're going here, it gives you 5% of the power of the ring back. That is a comic accurate little thing. But he was trying to get John to fly. So what happens if he did go fly? He would just fall out the sky. Basically how Jordan knew he wouldn't be able to do it. But when he makes the construct of the bird that's flying around, Hal gets surprised. He looks a bit because he's not quite sure what's going on. And they're trying to bring up the fact that John Stewart is a powerful lantern. He does become a really powerful lantern. And there's a huge arc of how powerful he comes in the comics. I doubt they're actually going to go that route. They're probably just going to make it very unearned and messy. You just can't trust these guys anymore. So Hal then gives John the mission to go get his lantern back from his house back in Coast City. Okay, so this is where we get into the stupidity of this. He's gone back to the football pitch and he's trying to investigate a little bit. So he's going around in the around the metal detectors on a time when there's no one there. There's no game, so the metal detectors aren't going to even be on, and it shows they're not on because he's trying to find out how they knew that they were aliens. Basically, that's the concept behind this. But he's testing it. It doesn't go off when he goes through because he's like looking at his belt and everything. And like he then goes to the car to grab the tire iron out of the boot. Okay, great. That would work, right? On a metal detector, as it's metal. But he then takes that tire iron, goes to the front of the car, rips off the bonnet of the fiberglass body, or whatever the cars are made out of nowadays. I know it's not metal because it's not the 1940s. Cars aren't made out of sheet metal anymore. I think the writers believe that chrome coating is metal. It's not going to work, even if the metal detectors are on. It's not going to work, is it? Did no one read this, or did no one on set at this point just go, hang on, this don't seem right? Are we being stupid? Yes, you are. You're being really fucking stupid. What are we doing? Plastic is not going to set off a metal detector. But the whole point of this scene was he sees the little sensor that's at the entrance. It's basically an alien detector. So they're alerted when aliens come through. So this is showing him that it's alerting the cowboys of the guy whose wife / granny John screwed last episode. Like all the cowboys with the guns, to alert them basically. But because of the stupidity of this scene, yeah, no. And we very quickly get into the next bit of stupidity. So he's trying to find where everyone is. Everyone's at a town meeting, basically. He hovers a little. Remember, there was 5% left in the ring, yeah? He hasn't used it since we knew it was 5%. Just to try to find where everyone is, he hovers up a little bit. He goes a few stories in the air just to see where everyone is. While he's up there, the ring runs out of power and he goes straight into the floor. If you're saying 5% of power gets used within 30 seconds of flight, how does Green Lantern fly anywhere on 100% charge? The lanterns are supposed to be able to fly around in the universe, fly around the planet. Does it need recharging every 30 seconds? What are we doing? Because it was only a hover as well. It's not something that's going to use a lot of power, and flight doesn't actually use a lot of power for the lanterns anyway. This is the most stupid episode there is. It's just non-stop stupidity. There's no brain cells in the writing room here between any of them. What are we doing? So this then just goes into, he walks into the town meeting. They're talking about if they should carry on playing the game, like playing football and stuff, even though there's been murders, all that kind of stuff. It's really, this scene's really very much of a nothing burger. Hal Jordan is trying to get the attention of the policewoman. His lawyer that they gave him last episode comes next to him saying that charges are dropped and seeing when he's leaving because they want him to leave the town. But as I said, this was a nothing burger. Hal realizes that he's not going to get much help, so he ends up leaving when he gets a phone call from John, and this goes into the next part. And there was very much he took the phone call while he was there, and Hal managed to get to the morgue very quickly from there. But basically, John Stewart's at his house, and he's asking him where the key is. It's in a rock, blah, blah, blah. While he's on the phone, Hal Jordan is stealing the alien bodies from the morgue. And I swear this is a James Gunn thing. He can't help himself but just show full-on cock on screen. Can I just remind DC is very much of a family and a younger audience. we're doing Green Lanterns. When you're showing things like this, it means that you're just getting rid of the young. It was already with Peacemaker. You've already got rid of the younger audience here. We're getting rid of the younger audience here as well with nudity yet again. It's like they don't understand what comic books should be, and they just want to try to do weird shit like this. But basically, he's taking them because what he ends up doing, he ends up taking them to the football pitch to take him through the metal detector. And this is where he realizes where the alien detector is, because it starts going off when he's putting them through. And this is just more stupidity. Let's just move on from this part. So before that little bit, like while John Stewart's in his house, he's looking around, he's trying to find the lantern for him. The lantern is in a box which is a pocket dimension, which he keeps it safe. I prefer that they've gone down the pocket dimension route with where he's keeping the lantern, rather than like some of the arcs in the comics where he makes it invisible, then ends up losing it and shit like that, because that's a bit stupid. But while he's in his house, he finds his suit and he's putting it up next to him to see what he looks like, all that kind of stuff. You see it, there's a picture of Hal Jordan with the cast of Harry Potter, which ties into the first episode. It's very much, this episode is very boring and very stupid. They're trying to throw in a bunch of lore, which there's little bits and nods here and there. But there's another point towards this. He's still got the little bird. You can see the little bird on the side there. It's the construct that John Stewart made at the beginning of the episode. How John told him that he needs to keep his concentration if he wants to keep it going, basically. So that's part of his test, like Hal gave him, to make sure that he ends up coming back with the bird. So he's got to stay concentrated the whole time to keep the construct alive. And more stupidity comes out of this very soon. And let's get straight into the stupidity. So remember, concentration to keep it alive. When he's leaving Hal John's house, he's putting the key back and he ends up getting attacked from behind, and they end up tasing him, which knocks him out, which means you lose consciousness, which means you can't concentrate. The bird's still there. This isn't the first time he gets knocked out and the bird doesn't go anywhere. So, more retardism from the writers. Basically, this is Manhunters. Let's just jump straight into that part. I say let's just jump straight into that part. He basically has the little fight, and it's, if you saw the trailers where John Stewart falls into traffic and all that lot, it's that part. And that's where the second part of the he gets knocked out situation, and even more stupidity, to be fair. He's standing in traffic and he ends up getting fully body checked by a fan. It slides straight into him. He shouldn't have just been knocked out from that. He should be dead. He's not a superhuman. He's human without the ring as well. So he should be dead. Yeah. So then we go into how he's driving around with the 3 alien dead bodies, and the sheriff woman ends up finding him. They have their little talk, blah, blah, blah. She says about if he wants to go speak to her father-in-law, then to go with her and let her do the talking. They end up going there. He doesn't want to speak to them. Hal ends up talking and going through the gate and trying to talk to him and saying that he's not going to leave. He takes a step forward and he ends up getting shot through the shoulder, and more of nothing burger. We just know that we know nothing, except from we know this is going to be where the villain's story all shit is. And we all know it's the grandma. That's probably going to be the villain here. You know it's the case. And we'll get into who the villains are right now. And they don't waste any time. It's Manhunters. So we're getting the introduction of Manhunters. A lot of people aren't going to understand who the Manhunters are. The Manhunters are what the Guardians tried starting off with before they started off with the Green Lanterns, basically. And they're basically robots, but they ended up getting taken over and their coding changed, and they basically went and started trying to kill all sentient life, basically. these guys are an alien race, and they're basically they're saying that there's a manhunter there in that little town, and I guarantee you, the manhunter is probably going to be that woman, because you know they're probably going to go down that route. It's going to be Grandma. It's definitely Grandma. So basically, you saw this part in the trailers as well. They're having the conversation. He ends up putting a staple gun to his head. Definitely a staple gun. Basically, it gives Jon Stewart the experience that these guys went through, the pain, the suffering, all that lot, when the Manhunters went to their planet and basically destroyed most of their race, to make Jon Stewart understand. And they give him like 48 hours or whatever to basically hunt down the Manhunter for him. So otherwise, they're coming in and just destroying the place. Still, it's set up, but it's not really important. There's like an offhand comment where he says that it's very impressive that he's using constructs without the ring. And yes, that comes to Jon Stewart's story later on. And Jon Stewart is powerful, and he can do shit in the comics that he shouldn't be able to do as well. He does turn into something later on down the line, and I don't think they're going to go with this. It's just like a lot of people are predicting that Parallax is going to be here with Hal Jordan and stuff. I feel like if they're going to go down the Parallax route, we won't see it unless we get like another couple of seasons. There's a lot that needs setting up before Parallax. If they just jump straight into it, like at the end, it's like a teaser that Parallax. If they do that, then they do a second season and that's all about Parallax, that's jumping way too quickly into it. And this is only a second season, and I know it would be too quickly jumping into it. So they need to slow that down if they want to go that route. But this is just people predicting, like trying to predict and make theories on that and stuff. This is very much focused around the Manhunters, and the Manhunters are nasty, and they're good villains, and we'll see the route they go with this. But we know it's going to be Granny. It's definitely Granny. It's always been Granny. We get into where Hal Jordan's waking up after being shot in the shoulder, and the sheriff woman, she sat there with him. The only important bit out of all of this is when they're leaving, he notices that all the equipment is still like wrapped up, everything's brand new. So it's kind of showing that probably the whole town are probably aliens. We do get to find out that the sheriff woman is from Gotham. Hang on a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, so they have done it. They've given her a name. I was wondering if they've given her a name to see if she was anyone important. So apparently she's Kerry Kane. So she's a version of Batwoman. So we've got an old Batwoman. So she wouldn't have been, it would have been a very long time since then. Wonder where they're going with that, because they haven't made that clear. And that's probably a nothing burger. It's probably just lore at this point, because we still haven't had Batman in this universe, and we don't really know anything about that side of it. So we're probably going to end up with it. If this is Batwoman, it's probably a really old Batman, or they're probably going to go down the route where Batman's already dead. And yeah, it's just so done with how DC are treating these characters now. So basically, how Lee is, he agrees that he's gonna listen to the, well, now we know Batwoman, gonna listen to her, because he was cuffed up basically because she was angry that he spoke up and all that kind of crap. Then we go into it's just more stupidity, more modern day Hollywood. Yay. Jon Stewart sees Granny in a diner when he's on his way back again. He wants a bit of Granny again. They're basically having their conversation. They start making comments about how's your white guy and all this kind of... Basically, the conversation that these two are having, like probably about 30 seconds of the conversation that these guys are having, if you flipped it around on any other race, it would be racist and it would be attacked. But it's fine because it's people talking about white people. So just bored of this now. I'm moving on from this scene. There's not much more. So then we go into, so this is basically the end of the episode now, and Jon Stewart ends up coming back to the motel. Hal Jordan's out there with his arm all messed up, and he gives him the lantern and he recharges it. He actually tells him what happened, even though the other group, they told Jon Stewart not to tell Hal Jordan. But Hal Jordan tells him, and he asks, because he asked him if he knew anything about Manhunters. He kind of brushes it off, but he doesn't. When Jon Stewart leaves to go back into his room, Hal Jordan ends up putting his suit on and flies up into space. He goes to basically, and on there, that's where we get our first look at Sinestro. I like the actor who's playing Sinestro, but I just hate the way that we've jumped into this universe when the cool shit's happened. Like, there's more cool shit to happen as well, but there's some really cool arcs that they're missing out on here. Basically, you get Hal Jordan. He comes into Sinestro's cell, asks him about the Manhunters, because obviously he doesn't know about them. The Guardians are keeping that away. They're keeping that from Hal. And Sinestro says that it's basically his second, like, if there's Manhunters, that's the second danger to him, basically. Then he asks about Jon Stewart because he's first. And then we go to credits. So, this was an extremely boring episode. It was a very stupid episode. It was a very eye-rolling episode. It was a very watch it and forget it episode. If we are starting off I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be 8 episodes for this series. If the second episode is a filler episode, how boring is the rest? What are we doing having a filler episode for the second episode? We're still going down the route as well as with everyone that still has interactions with Hal Jordan, treats him like crap, talks down to him, just with what I said about the first episode, everything stands from what I said. No opinions have changed here. This is a boring episode. If episode 3 don't actually do something, I feel like they're going to lose a lot of people if a lot of people aren't already gone already from the viewer base. I don't get why we're going down these stupid routes. I don't understand why the writers are stupid. I don't understand how no one on set can point out, is like, hang on, this don't make sense. You done fucked up. Because it's a boring episode, not much happens. Like, you get a few lore dumps here and there and things like that. I'm not going to go through all the lore and shit. There's probably plenty of videos that do that out there. But because it's a boring episode, there's not really much to say about this one. And if I try to drag it out, it's just going to look like I'm trying to drag it out for the sake of it. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. You're on the same boat as me, you don't like it, or are you liking this? If you like it, actually say why you like it. Don't just get angry about it if someone has different opinions. Actually make a point and don't just go on the attack because you look like a dick. No one's going to take you seriously. No one's going to reply with respect to you if you just get angry about it. If you actually want to have a discussion about it, have a discussion about it. If you just want to get angry and nasty and weird about it, then you're just going to get thrown to the side and forgotten about. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And give us a little cheeky like and follow. You know you want to. And until next time, bye-bye.